This is so bad. It's so sticky still. It's just kind of a mess. Welcome back. Welcome to my kitchen today. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the rented upgrades that we did in our kitchen, as well as my honest review of the products that we used. None of this is sponsored or anything, but when we were doing our research, we had a hard time actually finding honest reviews. So I wanted to read that for you all. Hopefully it will be helpful and maybe inspire you to make some changes in your kitchen or just to style some things a little bit differently, because at the end of today's video, I will also be styling my recent thrift finds and also showing you some ways you can make your kitchen look more expensive, bigger, and more functional. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is where we started. It is pretty much builder grade, but really no problems. We just wanted to update the countertops and also add a backsplash. And so this is how it turned out. We really like it, and so does our landlord. But here is an update after about 3 months. Oh, you see anything? You spy anything? So as you could tell, our peel and stick backsplash has peeled off. I had to add an extra row here because the sheet wasn't tall enough, and this row just wasn't sticky enough. So I need to figure out a way to get that reattached. And then also over here, this is so bad, and it is like it's so sticky still. It's just kind of a mess. So what I'm going to use is liquid nails to really adhere that on there. We have that left over from our bathroom. Here's the other piece that I've just been collecting from all of them falling, and it's also occurring over here. Ooh. So let's go ahead and fix up this backsplash, and then I'll give you my honest review of the contact paper countertops, and I will show you how those are holding up after, I think it's been 3 months now. In just a minute, I'll share with you if this project was really renter friendly and also how much I spent on this project. But while I'm fixing these up, I want to share with you 3 tips that I think are going to make this project more worthwhile and also easier for you. So first off, I would definitely suggest buying good quality materials. Some of the tiles that I've seen out there are actually, they dent. And I think this would be a huge problem if you need to clean these tiles, which you definitely will if it is a backsplash. And then also I suggest using a wallpaper tool or a cutting board or like a book to smooth it out as you go. You'll see me later use a cutting board to do this as I am making these repairs. And then the last tip would be just to clean the walls really, really well. Even if they don't look dirty, there's a lot of cooking grease probably on the walls, either from you or from previous owners. This was definitely the case for us, and that will just ruin the adhesive on the back of your tiles. And then if you have really textured walls, and my walls were not even that textured, but I think that this would have probably been the route to go, I would recommend just using the liquid nails right off the bat. That way you just save yourself the hassle of having to have some tiles peeling up and then some kind of half stuck on there and not knowing exactly how to repair the ones, especially in the middle where there's kind of bubbles in a way, where those have lost their adhesion. Which leads me to answer the question of, is this really a renter-friendly upgrade for your kitchen? And I still say that it is. However, it definitely pulled off some of the paint while it was on there with just the adhesion that came with the tiles without even me adding the liquid nails. And so if that's something that you are worried about, I just would be very cautious of doing this project. But usually you can paint pretty easily, or at least just prime, and then the landlord is fine with that. So hopefully that doesn't deter you from trying this project. And then the next thing you guys are probably wondering is, how much did this project cost, and is it really budget friendly? So I bought these tiles from Amazon, and each pack of 10 was $33, and I ended up using a pack and a half. So our total came out to less than $70, which I'd say is a great price for this project, especially the result that it came out with. I think it looks very high end, and really the texture on the tiles themselves, how they're raised, makes them look very realistic and very real. So I'm very impressed with this project. So this is something that's been a mystery to me. This piece used to be touching. I think that these must be shrinking. So I know that that can happen with wallpaper, and I think that that's what's happened here. So I think I'm gonna try to squish everything together and see if I can kind of hide it more in the corner, or I can even add another tile because I actually have some extra upstairs that we didn't use. So that's next. So I have a few more tips, but also just from a design perspective, I do have a few other ideas of things that you could use for a backsplash instead of this subway tile if that is not your look or you're kind of tired of it. I know subway tiles are everywhere, so I will include those at the end of today's video, so stick around for those ideas. And I did just want to show how much paint can be taken off by just the normal adhesive on the back of the tile. So the way that these attach together is they are 3D shaped, of course, and then this part is not 3D. So then you just overlap it on that spot. So I'm gonna try to just give it maximal space and length by overlapping it as little as I possibly can. So if I were to do this project again, I would definitely be more mindful of maintaining it as long length as I possibly can, so that in the case of it shrinking again, which I guess it does, and that's normal, I would be not left with gaps in between the tiles. And that was just enough to give me enough length there, and now I need to figure out how you do the same thing on this side. So if you end up using the liquid nails, do not try to just put the liquid nails onto the wall. It is heavy and it just falls off. So take the tile down and put it on the back of the tile and then stick it up. So over on this wall, you'll see that I do have some outlets, and I went ahead and took those outlet covers off. It is super simple to do that. And then I was able to cover any of my kind of rough cutting job underneath there, and then it also helped hold the tiles onto the wall a little bit because those are not going to go anywhere. I did want to mention that it has now been about 2 weeks since I did these repairs, and so far there have been absolutely no problems. So I am happy with the way that the liquid nails worked. All right, done with the messy stuff. I can put this caulk gun away, put my kitchen back together, and then I want to tell you about this contact paper. As I alluded to, there are so many different types of DIY budget-friendly backsplash ideas, and I have linked below an article that outlines them and how to do them. I especially really liked the beadboard option that she mentioned that was peel and stick. I think this would be super accessible and would add a lot of character to a kitchen. I totally forgot to mention that we also changed out the hardware, and I think that made a huge difference. So all of these used to be stainless steel, and these were not expensive at all. I will link them down below. Another thing that we did, and I wanted to include in this video because it is a renter-friendly upgrade, and I think it made the biggest difference, was this light behind me. It used to be a stainless steel chandelier, was held up with one screw. We feel safer knowing that this one has I think it has 3 screws it came with, or 3 or 4 of them. This one I got on Facebook Marketplace actually for 40 bucks. That makes a huge impact, and we really like how bright it is. It's much brighter than the old one. So the contact paper that we used was this fake marble, and I regret it. And this is why. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see it that well on camera, but do you see how stained it is? So this will eventually come off, I have noticed, but it's like I have to scrub it so long and like leave the Lysol, like some sort of disinfectant degreaser on that. So this is anything that is tomato based, I have noticed. Ketchup, tomato sauce, this was tomato sauce. Oh, and also watermelon. But I want to keep these nice, even though they are removable. Our landlord wants us to leave these when we move because he likes them so much. We put a lot of work into them, so I don't want to redo it. So I'm gonna see if I can get this stain scrubbed off a little bit. So I mentioned that this project was a lot of work, and I guess that is relative, but it is very tedious work. And what we found is that it did require 2 people, kind of one like holding the roll and the other pressing it down. And then also we used the highest quality contact paper that we could find, and this is a absolute necessity. I haven't personally tried the lower grade contact papers, but I have friends who have, and they, along with reviews that I've seen online, talk about how the contact paper stretches, and so as you're going it will stretch and you're unable to get it to lay evenly, and then also unable to get it to line up with itself. I did want to show you just how important cutting your seams are. For example, this was the first side that we did. That's the old countertop under there, kind of like yellowy brown. But then over here, we got a little bit better at it, and it's better there. This little crack here looks dirty always, just because it's yellow underneath it. So I wish that we would have just butted them up a little bit better. Also, when I was cutting these, I left a little bit of a gap here. So the one that we got, you can see the stain right there, so bad. One that I got, one roll goes from here to here. So you definitely want to get the contact paper that is counter length, which is from here to here. But then I cut this and put that in first, and then I put this in and it left a little gap here. So what I would definitely recommend is doing this first, then do this. That way you don't have to do a little bit of a repair in here. I could go back and honestly take this off and redo it longer. I still have some extra, but I just don't really want to do all that work for that little tiny seam. And with all the texture that I have here, I think it is hidden pretty well. It just looks better here where I didn't have to do that, but it's not that big of a deal for me. So someone woke up and is joining me now. So if you saw my haul last week, then you saw some of these treasures that I have found recently. So I want to go ahead and put these into my kitchen. What I've been doing recently in really all of my home is to declutter all of the surfaces. So the way that I have been thinking about this, which has been helpful for me, is if I'm not using it every day, it doesn't need to be on a countertop. Some of these there is an exception to, because I can't put my KitchenAid away. I only use that once a month, but I have no cabinets that fit it. And so that has to stay out. But there's some other things here, like this tea kettle, which we use a ton when we were doing fancy pour over coffee, but now we just use our coffee machine. And then once I get some of the things cleared away, I'll have more of a clean slate to style these newer items, and it won't seem so cluttered in here.
So in addition to keeping things decluttered on my countertops, I've also utilized this cake stand in here for a few months, and it has really helped give me a little bit more counter space. It might not seem like a lot, but getting those items that are always there on my countertop, like my salt and pepper and butter and oil, getting those up a little bit gives me a little bit more space where I can use my cutting board underneath there. And that area is just very frequented as it's right next to the oven, and just gives me a few more inches of workspace, which can sometimes make all the difference. I have an eclectic assortment of dish towels, but these towels my mother-in-law actually gave me recently, and she got them at IKEA. I really like the classic design of them, and they are a nice good size, which not all of the IKEA towels I have found to be big enough for my needs. Here I am kind of rearranging the save the dates on our fridge. I really like having the save the dates on the fridge so that I remember to pray for our friends with upcoming events and everything, but I try to keep everything at 90-degree angles because I think it helps it look a little bit less disorganized. And then here I am trying to figure out how to hang this. Is this a jelly mold? I don't know what this is, but I thrifted this item. And then since I have my new copper teapot on the stove, I put this blue teapot that really just got lost on my stove up here where it has a little more contrast, and I think it looks really cute.
So I have an idea. I think I'm going to use this floral wire, and I actually thrifted this at the Goodwill bins recently, and I'm just gonna make a little hook and then use one of my magnets to see if that is strong enough to hold it up there, is my thinking. Hey, you gonna help DIY? So it's not perfect, but I used magnets. I could probably go to the store and buy a magnet hook, but I just don't want to go to the store right now. So that works for now. Well, that's all I've got for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna nurse this boy, he's hungry. I hope that this video was helpful to you, maybe inspired you in some ways that you could decorate your kitchen. Just make it a place where you enjoy to be a little bit more. Alrighty, we will see you all next week with another thrift haul. Bye, friends. Oh, baby.